Thank you guys so much for tuning in to my first episode of Square of Self-Love with your host, Kiatana. I've been wanting to launch something like this for quite some time. Self-love has been something that has always kind of been at the core of who I am and things that I really enjoy. And my journey of self-love really started back in 2018. I went through a bout of heartbreak from a situationship, and I kind of just fell hard on myself. And I was also applying to medical school at the time, and so there was a lot that was just kind of coming to the forefront. And I kind of had to dig myself out of a lot of kind of just low value, and just not really feeling very good about myself. And in doing all of that, I asked myself really hard questions. What do I want my life to look like? And who's in my life? And who do I value? And why do I value them? And why do they value me? And so from that bloomed kind of a beautiful journey of just learning about myself. And then as a medical student, I took time to, really work on my interpersonal skills and work on the people, patients, and why I love medicine, and engaging in, what I could of genuine human interaction. That's something I really enjoy. Even if for a moment, I really enjoy just reminding people that, people are good. You remember those faith in humanity, restored my faith in humanity. That's kind of just what I've always enjoyed doing. I'm not saying I'm a great saint, I'm not just this natural, holy, I'm not that. But I enjoy those opportunities and moments with people. So a little bit about myself. I'm a fourth year medical student, currently applying to residency, and I am very excited to embark on this new journey. But I know that this new chapter of my life will not be easy, and it will challenge a lot of just what I know about myself, my journey. And I know that having strong self-love practices is going to be vital to this next phase of my life. I wanted something that would allow me to not only kind of revisit those core beliefs that I have, but then also kind of engage in discussion with other people about just their journeys of self-love, and encouraging them to feel value for themselves and love themselves. And so all of that to be said. Setup, honestly, I have so much planned for this setup, but full transparency, that's my platform, right? I'm not gonna play around with you guys. I'm gonna be transparent, or as transparent as I can. So this setup is not permanent. Look at me. Not permanent. It is necessary, because the way I am, if I let the details hold me up, this will never be public. And so I'm kind of launching this, which is kind of the issue that I have with wanting to do social media, is it feels so unfinished, and it's can I release this just yet, because I don't feel like it's just right, and there's certain ways that I want it to look, and this is my platform. But at the end of the day, I have to remind myself, this is something that I'm passionate about, and I keep getting these reminders that I need to have something like this. I need a platform like this. I need to just release it already. And so that's kind of what I'm doing. This background, I don't know what it's gonna look like. Well, that's not true. I actually have several options, but it's not gonna look like this forever. But I put some of the things that are very valuable about artwork that I won in a very special place, just in a very special time in my life, when I feel I was diving deep on this journey of understanding myself, strengthening my relationship with God, and just really reflecting. And my first day in this new place, I won this painting, and it was just all the validation I needed. It was very just wow, this is, and I'm one of those people who tries to find meaning and value in pretty much every aspect of what I do. I feel like life itself is so poetic, and I can dive deep into the nuances of that. But, the opportunities that are meant for you really will find you, and the people and the experiences that you need and you are a value and an asset to will find you. And you have to really believe that. I feel like at the core of this self-love kind of journey is knowing that you have value, and that value will be used in ways that you can't imagine if you honor it, and if you intentionally find people who are willing to work with you and want to see you grow and want to see you as the best version of yourself. Those are the type of people that you need in your life. That's the kind of experiences that I want you to seek out. And I really want you to honor, what do you love? What do you enjoy? What makes you happy? Because I feel like in turn, that makes us able to provide those things for other people. I think when I know, what makes me happy, I'm more willing to listen to what makes someone else happy. I'm more willing to give someone else grace and patience and understanding and compassion where I may need it myself. But, recognizing that we're all human at the end of the day, floating on a giant piece of planet, and sometimes it's freezing, sometimes it's blazing, and the bills are billing, and, it's not easy. But I think just recognizing that little aspect of humanity, both in ourselves and others, is really what makes life enjoyable. So that's a lot. I know, I'm so sorry, and I ramble. But I'd love for you all to like, share, subscribe, review this wherever you're listening. I would love for you to comment and just let me know what you think I could work on. So this episode, I wanted to just make 20 minutes. I don't know that I'll get there. But I wanted to kind of just hit on the 4 main concepts that I think have to be considered when you start your self-love journey or when embarking on your self-love journey. And so these topics are very vast, and I feel like I could definitely make a whole episode on just each of them. But I don't have time like that today. So, and you know what? My goal is to set something on social media. That is my goal for this. So let's get into it. Number 1, your self-love journey has to have self-compassion and grace. So self-compassion and grace are something that are not innate. And as we get older, I think it's a lot harder to give ourselves, self-compassion and grace. And when you give yourself grace and self-compassion, you are much more willing to give this to other people, because you recognize we all make mistakes. We all do things flawed and erroneous in order to learn from it and then get it right, maybe. And I think, it's so funny because I feel like in giving myself grace, it made me a lot less judgmental. I feel like a lot of times my friends even would be afraid, oh, you're going to judge me. Don't judge me. And I say that myself, right? Like, don't judge me. But at the end of the day, so what? So what if I wouldn't do what you did in the moment? What matters more to me is how your response is and your reflection, and can you admit to yourself and can I admit to myself that was a bad idea, because I think we can all admit, we've all had bad ideas, and part of living is that you're going to have bad ideas, but that growth is really in the center of, this was a bad idea, but how can I learn from it? This was a problem that I could have solved in a better way, but how can I learn from the ways that I did handle it? And I think we miss out on opportunities to grow in that time. And part of even getting to the point of this was a bad idea is giving yourself grace. You're human. You do things. It's a part of living. That's actually the definition. If you want to finesse out of the scientific world and more into the philosophical world, is, you're functioning and you're doing. And part of doing is figuring it out. And so just giving yourself grace and compassion. And especially in times of, things that matter to you. Being in medical school, this is important to me. I've committed most of my life to it. Just in the world of education, I've invested time, resources, family members have invested time and resources. And so this is really important to me. And I think just giving myself grace in that aspect has made the whole process just so much more enjoyable. And I've also been able to learn from it. I've been able to learn so much about myself and continue building on the things that I've learned. And so all of that to say, grace and compassion, huge pillars for your self-love journey. Okay, so number 2 is honest self-reflection. And I kind of hit on this already, but you have to be honest with yourself, right? We all know. So transparency, that's what I'm leaning on. In my teens, probably made bad decisions as far as who I was, crushing on or who I liked, wow, we're getting real transparent. Nobody's picking their soul. Well, most people aren't picking their soulmates at 15. So I can honestly say, reflecting upon that, I was not using good judgment. I wasn't considering responsible, is this person responsible? Do they communicate well? I'm not thinking like an adult or, I'm thinking like a 15-year-old, and 15-year-old Kiatana was not wise. 15-year-old Kiatana was thinking right in front of her, that's it, pretty superficially, not going deep into personality at all. So I can honestly say, reflecting on that and being able to reflect on that has helped me shape what I look for in a partner for the better. So just having that sense of honest reflection, and we can go on, you can talk about maybe your personality traits, right? I was pretty insecure in high school, and just being insecure had me in a lot more of a kind of just like trying to get validation elsewhere. And that's exhausting, and that's not easy, and you can't always function in that way. And so just being able to honestly reflect on that has opened up my eyes so much to just who I want to be, Yes, I was insecure about my image, and to be specific, because insecurities is definitely something we're going to talk about. But, there's so many things you could be insecure about. But being insecure about my image made me try out all these different things. I was flat ironing my hair. I was like, wearing tank tops and, well, we were all, if you're a millennial, the fashion wasn't ideal. Sorry to say, but it wasn't looking good. And, I can honestly say I learned from that. So that all of that to say, honest reflection, honest self-reflection is vital for your self-love journey. Okay. So comfort and self-care are pretty critical to your self-care journey. And just thinking about, what makes you feel pampered. And this goes for men and women, right? What makes you feel comfortable? And I'm really intentional about my home. I'm very much so the type of person, I don't let all types of people and energies into my home. And so this is my sanctuary. This is my safe space. And so what does my safe space look like, feel like? I love textures. Honestly, I have a furry blanket right now. But I love, just like wrapping up in something snuggly. That's comfort to me. I have a weighted blanket, and I can't really sleep without it, but that's comfort to me. And, other than material things, self-care, I love silence, and knowing that, I'm comfortable in a silent environment. I love going to the library. I love nature. And I love just getting out, even if it's for a walk. But knowing that, just having that sense of self-care, even if it's, 20 minutes, it doesn't have to be a whole extravaganza, but just having that sense of what your self-care looks like, what your comfort looks like. And once you know that about yourself, and this will be an episode where I kind of walk through how I figured out what self-care looks like to me, and how I continue figuring that out, because none of this is permanent. You will evolve, you will grow, and you will also have to continue learning these things about yourself. But the beauty is knowing that this is an ongoing process, and you will constantly be looking at, well, how did I respond to this? Well, is that who I want to be? Is the way I responded reflective of who I want to be? Is that congruent with who I want others to see me as? And if it isn't, then that's something that goes back into that. This is material for me to learn about myself from. And I think just having that kind of lens on it really helps you kind of just continue that process. So your self-care and comfort. Okay, sorry y'all, I'm like, long-winded here. Now, one thing I can do is talk. I'm a talker. And so that's honestly what's kind of encouraged me to even have a podcast, because I feel like so often I'm like, I should definitely be recording this. I should be recording this. People would love to hear about this. And I love having conversations like this. So anyway, number 4, so that you guys can go on about your day. Okay, so number 4 is, okay, please don't log off because it's really important. But okay, so number 4 is setting boundaries and prioritizing yourself. Now I know that's easier said than done. And I know it's not easy at all, either said nor done. But setting boundaries and prioritizing yourself will allow you to be more present for the people who deserve you and whose lives you are needed. And when you prioritize yourself, that doesn't mean selfish. I feel like, in the world of self-love, for me personally, I didn't want to come off as arrogant. I didn't want to come off as, selfish. But you have to recognize when you are neglecting yourself. You have to recognize when you are not putting yourself first, second, nor third, nor fifth, nor eighth, nor 10th, nor 20th, right? Like, you have to acknowledge that it's not selfish to consider me if I've hardly ever considered me, if I'm not doing anything for myself. And I think when you're surrounded in the wrong environments, it will make you feel like you're being selfish and you will feel guilty. And so one of the other things I really want to do with this platform is to encourage people to not feel guilty about self-love. Self-love is something that you're doing for yourself to benefit all of your other relationships and all of those other life experiences that you will be in. But that's kind of how I feel. Is like, if I am really invested in my well-being and my wellness, I can do so much more for other people. I can do so much, but I have to do myself that due diligence. I have to really commit to, my wellness in order to participate in other people's wellness. And the people around you will notice, and the people who love you will love you more for it, because then you can show up in their lives and love and be loved and receive that love. I feel like when we neglect our self-love, it's very evident when you can't receive love. And that's hard because, you're always skeptical of, well, is this genuine? Is this really how people feel? You're defensive. And we'll talk about, signs that it's time for you to focus on your self-love. Because that's one of the things that I just hadn't considered, is like, how do I know that I'm not being selfish, And it took some real reflection and asking myself those hard questions. And when I finally did, and I took the time, it was a small amount of time, right? This wasn't like months. Well, eventually it felt like, I invested incrementally over months, but the small amount of time that I did set aside to better understand what it looked like to love myself, it did change just all of my social interactions, all of my relationships, because I was able to show up as a better version of myself. And so prioritizing myself, in some cases that has looked like walking away, kind of ducking off, isolating, not for long. Don't use this as a reason to block off all of humanity, because I know some of you want to, and honestly, can't blame you in some cases, but it's not healthy. And it's just one of those things where sometimes you gotta get quiet. My mom says this all the time. Sometimes you gotta get quiet and focus on what needs to be focused on at hand, right? What are your priorities? If you had to limit it to 3 things, right? If you had to limit your priorities right now to 3 things, what would they be? And a lot of times I feel like we take on so much and we pile on so much on our plate. We get so overwhelmed because it's so much, but I often have to just narrow down, zoom in, focus on what are those 3 things. And so all of that to say, these are the main pillars for self-love. And these are things that I look forward to diving into with you guys Eventually, you know, goals for this podcast, I really just want to encourage others. I really want to encourage others to embark on this journey, and, you know, really take this on, as I said, as a way to better your other relationships and better find your purpose, and, you know, overall just like do what makes you happy and makes your time on this earth feel valued and worth it. I always say, you know, life is short, but it is our longest experience, and it is something that you need to be able to enjoy, and I hope that you value, and I hope that it feels like it is important, because you are very important, you are needed, and, you know, though I don't know you, I know, you know, everyone offers something unique, even if it looks like what you're doing is very similar to what someone else is doing. Your perspective, your life experiences, your value is so critical to that thing. And you cannot discount that. You can't, you know, just like write that off. You're important. And so, as you can tell, you know, I'm very into self-help and motivation, and I love like motivating other people. I just feel like it's so easy and so fun, and, you know, I like instilling hope in others and just all the things. So I can rant and ramble, but I'm just so excited to get this started. And so, as mentioned, please like, share, subscribe, and do all the things. Please, you know, leave a review, because I really want to know, you know, how I'm doing and how I can better, you know, shape this platform. And yeah, so thank you all for tuning in to Square of Self-Love, and this is Kiatana Square signing out. Square out. Oh, that's cute. Square out. I don't know. I feel like I'm doing too much with Square, guys, so let me know if there's too much. There's a bigger like plan at hand, but, you know, more to come from that. So otherwise, I'm gonna see y'all later. Okay, bye.